Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to everyone. I'm happy to welcome you to the first 2025 webinar of the Skills Lab Network. It is really nice to see today many familiar faces, new faces. A warm thank you to all for joining us. For those who do not know me, I'm Cristiana. I'm coordinating the activities of the Skills Lab Network from the ETF side. Before entering today's topics, just a few technicalities for the Zoom meeting. Please remember to keep your microphone muted during the presentations, and you are most welcome at any time to add your questions in the chat box when the speakers will be presenting. And you will have the opportunity to take the floor during the dedicated sessions for question and answers. Before we start, just a few words and updates on the Skills Lab Network. As most of you may know, the network was launched in October 2021 with the aim to bring together around the common platform researchers and analysts in the field of skills demand who have been interested in discussing and exchanging on skills demand, skills anticipation, and how future skills are changing. The network is growing very rapidly. I'm glad to inform that we have now reached over 450 members. We are really grateful for that. We are grateful that we have reached many ETF partner countries members, but also members from EU member states and beyond. So the network is now taking shape as a global forum on skills issues. Some more updates, because in 2025, the network has entered its second phase, with some features which I would like to share briefly with you. Fondazione Giacomo Brodolini will continue as the ETF contractor to support the management and animation of a network. So grateful to the entire team of Fondazione Brodolini for the strong commitment. This year, another piece of news, we have new regional teams with one regional facilitator per each of the 4 ETF regions, supported by a pool of experts who will help the network to better respond to the needs of the countries in the field of skills demand. From this year, we will also have a new scientific committee of the network with a variety of academic profiles to support the content side of the network. And another new entry will be a first sub-thematic community, which will be established within the network. On this occasion, with a specific focus on the topic of the skills dimension of migration. We are going to plan a number of activities within this group, including a dedicated call for papers, but you will hear more about these in the next few days when this thematic group will be officially launched. On communication, we will continue to stay connected as network to different channels, including the open space on the ETF website, but also the LinkedIn group of a network that we inaugurated last June. And I really encourage you to use this powerful tool to stay connected and share information on recent research and events which you think may be of interest to our group. To keep up with the traditions, we will organize a number of activities. So network-wide webinars, region-specific webinars. We will have 2 in-presence peer visits this year. We will have occasions for online informal exchanges, and we look forward to all these. Maybe I would like to ask Chiara or Eda if they can share the slide, so that I would like, thank you. Thanks a lot. We go to the next one immediately. Okay, so before passing the floor to the first speaker, a brief background on the research papers, which are the core of today's webinar. The Skills Lab Network published a call for joint research proposals in December 2022. The call was open to members on a variety of topics related to skills anticipation and skills demand. Upon closure of the call, and after working with the selected applicants to develop full proposals, the network approved in June 2023 7 proposals. The selection criteria included, for example, geographical relevance, partnerships, the quality of a research proposal, the approach, the policy impact, innovation, and scalability. Out of these 7 proposals, unfortunately, one had to withdraw due to time pressures and resources. The 6 research projects have been in the meanwhile implemented during 2023 and 2024. And now we have 6 papers ready to be published, and you will hear about them today. And as we will also publish them during next week. You will hear about these soon, because we are just finalizing a few details regarding the layout. Just a few words regarding the agenda for today. We will start with an introduction by my colleague from the European Training Foundation, who will provide context on the process and contents of the upcoming publication. This will be followed by the 2 expert panels, where the authors of each paper will present a glimpse of their research findings and engage in discussions moderated by experts facilitators. I'm now pleased to pass the floor to our facilitator, Najib Amouti, who kindly introduce and facilitate the first session. Najib, over to you.
Thank you very much, Christiana, and welcome everybody. I'm pleased to chair this session with Umuhan Bardak, who is labor market expert and who has been very instrumental in this project. Well, we have to call it project because it lasted 2 years with great insights and productive reports. So without hesitating and without waiting, I will pass the floor to Umuhan. You have 15 minutes, okay? Just 15 minutes for this great work, but I also expect our guests to ask a lot of questions to Umuhan after the 15 minutes, because we will have 5 minutes for Q&A. Umuhan, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Najib. Thank you very much. Okay, I would like to give you just a very quick background of what was the focus of these research papers. I'm not talking about the research papers themselves, because we have authors who will present their research papers, but the conceptual analytical background behind these research papers. Basically, this publication is intended to be something about the skills demand in the different countries and economies, both current and future demands of skills. Why we wanted to focus on that, and now you see in the screen, actually, this is the answer of that question, that we have several drivers of global changes, and all countries are affected by these changes. I don't want to go through each of them. You see them, we, of course, hear all of them every day, and they have really a significant impact on all aspects of our lives, but we are going to talk about here on the impact of labor market. What I wanted to emphasize here on this slide is that, okay, we see the technological advances, we see the digitalization, we see the geopolitical changes, etc. We see all of them, but don't forget that each global drivers of change is impacted by the other global drivers as well. So they are not happening in isolation. When something happens in climate change, at the same time, there is some other things happening on globalization, and they are interacting with each other. So when we analyze what would be the impact of climate change, we still ignore the impact of interaction of other change factors with the climate change. So I want you to keep in mind that each change factor interact with the others. And this means that we are even in a more difficulty to estimating or forecasting future, because we can maybe make some assumptions of where artificial intelligence will go, but we don't know what things will happen in all other factors of change and how they will interact with each other. If, for example, the world will have a big war, maybe artificial intelligence will work in a different way. Maybe it will focus on defense. But if we don't have this kind of geopolitical tensions, maybe AI will focus on healthcare, because this is how people make these decisions. You know, that the policymakers make decisions based on an assessment of all change factors, not only one. So basically, if we go to the next, what we see so far as the impact of these change factors on the labor market, they can be summarized under 6 headlines. The first one, as you may heard already, I think you heard all of them, is the job destruction. So destruction of the existing jobs, mainly due to the automation, but not only. Also in the developed countries, many jobs were destroyed because their production has shifted to the developing countries. So it's also outsourcing in the third countries, which is good for the third countries because they entered into the global value chains, production chains. The job destruction, I mean, automation at least, has been so far about routine jobs, which means that most of these jobs have been in the middle of the job scale. So those jobs, for example, in the production units, you know, automotive sector, for example, industrial robots, we can see now in many manufacturing plants of the automotive. And it affected so far in the medium part of the skill scale, which means that many people with the medium level skills, their jobs have been destroyed, basically. Then the second one is changing tasks in the existing jobs. Job itself may not be disappeared, but some of the tasks within the job or occupation has been modified. Actually, we see that task content moves from the physical tasks towards more intellectual and social tasks. And it also increases the degree of the autonomy, teamwork. There is increasing adoption of ICT tools, as you know. For example, we have still engineers, electrical engineers, with the same profile of job, but electrical engineers now need to know also the way of electricity production from the renewable energy sources, which was not there before. The third impact is the emergence of new jobs. As you can imagine, these are activities linked to the application of new technologies. So jobs for data processing, for example. Now, in the past, we had just one job profile on that. Do you remember? Statistician, that's it. Nowadays, we have data scientist, data analyst, big data specialist, database manager, data warehousing, all kinds of things with data analysis. The same with the digital services, jobs for digital services, such as cloud computing, coding, social media manager. We didn't have that 20 years ago. There was no such thing. or blogger, vlogger, app developer, podcast producer, name it. As a result, we see this job polarization. What does it mean? There were more jobs destroyed in the middle of the professions, which requires generally upper secondary, post-secondary, and vocational education. But there was many more jobs created at the low-skilled jobs and very high-skilled jobs. So there was this polarization in terms of workers with different skill levels. For example, we have seen unprecedented growth of low-skilled jobs in cleaning, caring, catering, all these kind of areas that some people say is because there are many rich people now who can afford to have these services, or some others say that actually maybe it is because these middle level workers, they have all lost their jobs to, let's say, they were downgraded towards the bottom, while some of them could have managed to go up, which is also linked to the dramatic growth of high-skilled jobs, especially management-related jobs. We have now more managers than ever on everything. And then also the STEM occupations. Part of this is this fifth change impact, which is called segmentation of knowledge work. This is actually, some people called it digital Taylorism. It is applying for this production system into the knowledge work. So we see now more stratification of knowledge between conception and execution. So we have now very privileged high-level knowledge workers, who are generally graduated from top universities across the world, who are designing the concepts and the main, developing the conceptual work, and then all other still university graduates, well-educated, but normal ones, who are executing these roles, basically. And this means that the difference among them has been increasing. Fragmentation was increasing, so as the wages. It is no longer the same wage for all high-skilled which means that university graduation or higher education is no longer the only security for the people to find the jobs. And as a result, of course, we also see changing patterns of employment, the rise of non-standard employment, new business model of the digital economy, more temporary employment, remote work, teleworking, flexible work, but also kind of Uberization for every kind of task. So we are now hired and paid by the tasks instead of by stable jobs. Please go ahead to the next one. I just wanted to say that we are even seeing more now with the arrival of AI. Some people see that it's an angel, which will be solution for everything. Some others says it's a devil. We don't know yet. We will see in the future what will be. But I see that it's very important to keep in mind how AI will develop. I mean, what is the socioeconomic and political environment in which AI will develop? Because the decisions will be impacted by what we see around the whole global environment, basically. Okay, please go ahead, continue. So,
Umuhan,
yes.
I hate to do this, but you have only two minutes left.
Okay. So then I will just skip, but let me add one thing on this slide. the arrival of AI, especially, generative AI, with, you may have heard about ChatGPT 2, 3, 4. Now we are arriving to 5, and all these new models of AI. What was not possible before, which is the automation of high-skilled jobs, now it is possible, which means that actually in the past, high-skilled workers were safer compared to the other workers because it was about automation was about the routine jobs. But it is no longer the case. Automation can also happen with cognitive jobs. If I have to give you one example, that I think the best example is the translators, language translators. But even in the medical sector, can you go to the next slide, please? Yeah, recently I saw this article in the ResearchGate that actually now AI, by analyzing all the medical information available, digitized in the digital world, they can give a very high quality advice compared to the physicians. This is about absolute medical knowledge, analyzing existing medical knowledge and giving you that you may have this and you can have this kind of advice. But what is new is that recently, apparently, there is also improvement in AI to create empathy when they do this task of medical advice. So their effectiveness in terms of providing empathetic answers have been increasing as well. Does it mean that medical professions are under threat? This is another discussion. I don't want to enter to that, but just to give you an example, please go. Okay. Okay, we have to finish. I think what is really happening here is that we are having mismatches everywhere in both developing countries, developed countries, emerging economies, everywhere. But it's a very strange situation because there is increasing level of education among the young generations, but they are not finding good jobs for themselves. At the same time, we have several vacancies remaining open, and employers cannot really find the right workers. Please go to the next slide. And there is a cost for this skills mismatch. For individuals, please click. For individuals, there is a cost. For employers, there is a cost, but overall, also for countries. Yes, yes, exactly. So there is also, everyone says, you must have heard, increasing need for upskilling and reskilling. Please continue to the last slide. And there has been several EU policy responses, for example, twin transition, digital transition, and green transition. If these are the links, you can read more on both. But I think this is like a very good example of what we can do as policymakers to these changes happening at global level. Whether we do something or not, it doesn't matter. They will happen anyway. But we have to do something. So this was a kind of a good example. Yes, please continue to the, just 1 minute. Go. Please, last. Continue. Yes, last one, please. So basically in this environment, we wanted to have more information from our partner countries. What are their skill needs? And how can we reduce the skills mismatch? And that was the whole original reasoning of making a call for papers. We wanted to know more about the future of work trends in our countries. And we are still in this phase, in my opinion. I mean, everybody see one part of the picture, and we are trying to define, but the more we define, the more we will get there. And now you will hear some of these very good research from the authors, what they research for and what they found as a result. Sorry, Najib. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Umuhan. Very interesting, and the debate is open about skills anticipation. We already have a question from Zebo Isakova from Uzbekistan. And thank you for your question, Zebo. The question is, how can organizations maximize the positive effects of AI on job quality while minimizing the risks of work intensification and job insecurity? Excellent question, yes.
Okay, yes. Well, the answer is not easy. This is a very tough question. I think everyone is wondering about the answer. But what I can say is that the key aspect of the AI impact, as I was saying, trying to explain you before, AI is not coming in isolation. And companies or governments or whoever decision makers, they do make their decisions based on the cost benefit analysis, whether they should employ a new AI program up in their daily operations or not. It is based on the decisions of company CEOs, managers, I don't know, the Ministry of ICT. So basically, there is the decision-making power, which is affected by economic interests, political interests, as well as also by the basic things like such as the cost of technology. You know, it's economic as well, and also maybe psychological. So basically what we can do is that there is a need for collaboration across different sectors, because I don't think that one company, by employing one AI, can manage to get everything they want, because we need some basic regulations for ethical use of AI. This is something coming from the policy side. But then we need to have, let's say, social dialogue to have a kind of balanced application of AI, for example, representation of trade unions in the, what kind of AI applications can be put in the workplace, because it may have a big impact, both positive and negative. It depends on how you use it, basically.
Yes.
So,
sorry, Muhan, I have to interrupt you here because I have to give the floor either to Christiana maybe or Ahad. But before I leave, I'm not leaving. I mean, I let the floor to my colleagues. I would like to remind all our dear guests that we have posted here, and my colleagues have posted a link to join the network skills if you aren't part of the network yet, and also a link to our LinkedIn page. Please join us and join the movement. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Najib. Thanks a lot. But I would leave the floor to Mr. Ahad Kazimov for facilitating the first panel. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Christiana. Indeed, very interesting webinar we have today, and thank you very much for all speakers or presenters and for all participants. And we have about 91 people participating, so it's an amazing number. So today, during our presentation, we will have three presenters, Branka Angelkovic, Rihab Belikhal, and Ahmed Hamza. We will do the presentation. Each of them will have 10 minutes. And I will also ask you, like, probably before like 2 minutes left to the end of your presentation, I will inform you that you have only 2 minutes. And at the end of the session, we'll have a 10 minutes questions and answers session. And also, if you have any questions, you also feel welcome to write on the chat. So first presentation by Ms. Branka Angelkovic, please.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's presentation on bridging sustainability and digital gaps in the agri-food sector. These are preliminary insights from a study that we carried out on the skills needs of small farms in Serbia. I would also like to thank you, my colleagues, Tanya Jacobi and Miki Mitrovic, who contributed to this research, and I hope that they will stay on the team in our next phase. Next slide, please. As I already said, the objective of this study is to assess digital skills needs among small farmers in Serbia with the aim to achieve more sustainable and efficient agriculture. So this paper is not really aiming at academic heights. It has a very clear policy aim, and this is to inform policymakers how to actually bridge the gap when it comes to digital divide and include small farm holders in digital transformation in Serbia. Next, please. As you can see from this slide, and I guess this is not a surprise, agriculture is one of the key economic sectors in Serbia. It really contributed greatly to our GDP and also to the employment of the country. There are more than 500,000 of agricultural producers, according to the latest agricultural survey of the Statistical Office from 2023. But as you can see, 99% and more of them are registered as family farms. Serbia still is the largest agricultural market in the Western Balkans with great and strong food processing tradition. However, the sector's average growth rate, according to the World Bank's latest report from 2024, has been around 1.5%, well below its potential. So, next slide, please. So, what are the reasons for this slow advancement of agriculture in Serbia? Some of these really include the points that I already highlighted before. We have a large number of small farms. The average size of cultivated agricultural land in Serbia is 6.4 hectares, compared, for example, to the EU's average of 16.1. Average age of farm owners is really high. They are 60 years and older. Vast majority of them have primary and secondary school education that is not related to agriculture. Last but not least, our farmers prefer traditional farming methods. So, given this context, next slide please, we ask ourselves the following questions. If we really want to fast forward digitalization and include sustainable practices in agriculture, which digital tools small farmers use in Serbia at this point of time and for what reasons? What skills do they need for their production being more sustainable and efficient? And lastly, we asked ourselves which drivers of change, which incentive structures could really encourage smallholders to adopt digital tools. Thank you. Next slide. In order to get the answers to our questions, we've started with really extensive literature review, not only focusing on Serbia, but also on comparative practices on other locations. Given that small farmers have not been so much in the focus of research, not only in Serbia, but also on other locations. We carried out 2 focus groups to gain insights into the perspective of farmers. These focus groups were organized with experts and also practitioners. And we are hoping to carry out the next phase of our research this year. And this should include a survey among small farm holders in Serbia. So while we are waiting for the next slide, I will focus this presentation only on several highlights because we don't have much time. And this focus will be on digital tools that small farmers use in Serbia and why. I would say that good news is that more than 80% of Serbian farmers use internet daily. Why is this important? Internet is actually a key enabler for any kind of digital tools, and these tools refer to software, platforms, different kinds of applications, technologies like Internet of Things, drones, GPS, robots. However, bad news is that less than 40% of them use internet to gather information for improving agricultural practices. Next slide, please. So when we ask the question, which digital solutions are the most popular in Serbia at this point of time, these are the answers that we received. Social media platforms, Viber groups, and SMS text messaging systems are actually the most widely used solutions in the country at this point of time. Social media platforms. They became really popular during COVID times for 2 main purposes: marketing on one side and sales to extend supply chain. Local producers realized that their produce is not necessarily aiming to target local markets, but can also, let's say, end at markets in some other larger cities that are not really close by. One particular platform that stands out in Serbia at this point of time is small food producers in Serbia. This platform brings together producers and consumers. That is one thing, but on the other side, this platform also provides all kinds of tutorials and trainings to small producers on improving agricultural practices, but also on how to apply simple digital solutions. Next slide, please. Second place is taken by SMS messaging systems that provide information on weather forecasts and agricultural conditions in Serbia. We couldn't really understand why these systems are so popular, apart from maybe several yet not so successful attempts to install these systems in last 15 to 20 years in a national infrastructure in Serbia. There were different, I would say, intentions to use, for example, SMS messaging systems for informing farmers on prices of produce, on weather forecasts. Somehow, none of them
2 minutes
really,
left.
None of them really survived. Next slide, please. Viber groups are taking the 3rd place, and they're perceived as really practical way to share real-time information, advice, and updates on agricultural practices. There are plenty of Viber groups in Serbia, and they're really focused on type of production, on regional and geographic location. But we also have one really big national Viber group that is rather popular called Agricultural Advisor that brings together farmers, experts, and advisors to share information. So now we will skip to the slide that discusses what digital tools small farm holders are not using in Serbia. Next and next. So smallholders are generally not familiar with the digital software and technologies for farm management and decision-making on one side, and precision agriculture on the other. So you may assume that all this that is listed here is really meant for larger scale operations. However, these technologies, especially digital software and related to farm management and decision-making, helps small producers to improve their practices. Nevertheless, these digital solutions never really reach them. In conclusion, which is next slide, our paper provides some of the answers at this point of time why small farmers in Serbia do not use a vast array of digital solutions despite of their availability and the high usage of internet in the country. So most small farmers, that is what we identified, lack the technical know-how to use digital tools. And this challenge is related to the age of our farmers. As highlighted by focus groups and literature, Agriculture 4.0 technologies should be definitely simpler. And these tools are also very costly. Last but not the least, farmers have limited access to training in digital tools, and the government so far has not recognized small-scale operations in the country as important for really applying widely and introducing digital technology for small farm holders. I guess that we don't have time for the recommendations. You can just see them in the next slide. There are plenty that relates to strengthening of national system of service and advisory provision. We also recommended to incentivize research institutions to develop cost-effective, user-friendly farm management applications. And lastly, we were hoping that the government will hear us when we say that access to grants and subsidies should be also ensured for affordable digital solutions, particularly in agriculture-intensive regions.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you very much, Branka, for your presentation. It was very interesting, very informative, and we have a second presentation. I would like to give the floor to Ms. Rehab Belahal, and also I would like to inform that you have 10 minutes, so please, thank you.
Thank you, Ahad. So I will share my screen. Is it okay? So good morning, everybody, and thank you for the organizer of this webinar for giving us the opportunity to present our research paper. So our paper is entitled Green Jobs, Skills Needs and Skills Gap in the Green Economy, Evidence from Lebanon and Tunisia. And this paper has been jointly conducted with a team of researchers from Lebanon and Tunisia. So in my presentation, I will first begin by giving the key objectives of our work. Then I will define the key objective of, or the definition of our key concept. So after this, I will present the methodology that we used in our paper, then the main findings, and finally, I will give the conclusion and some policy recommendation. So our main objective in this study was to investigate the opportunities and challenges of transitioning to a green economy in Lebanon and Tunisia. And for this, we have we first analyze the potential of green jobs in Lebanon and Tunisia. And after, we try to analyze the skills gap related to green jobs in both countries. So the studied countries are, as I said, Lebanon and Tunisia. Both of them are developing country from the MENA region. While they share similarities, each country has its own characteristic or specificities. So if we look at Lebanon, it is a service-oriented economy with major sectors including banking, tourism, and trade. The economy in Tunisia is diverse with the contribution from the agriculture sector, mining, and tourism. So both countries faces environmental challenges like water scarcity, waste management, and pollution. And both of them also were fully engaged in green transition process. And we see in this case many programs aimed at renewable energy, water conservation, and also many policies to support sustainable development. However, some constraint or some difficulties slow down the implementation of these policies. It's political instability and economic crisis in Lebanon, and the complex and the lengthy bureaucratic procedure in Tunisia. However, one of the most important challenges to greening the economy in the two countries is meeting skills needs, and that we try to investigate in our paper. So before moving to present the methodology, let me first give some definitions of the two key concepts of our study, used in our study. So if we green jobs, so the two concepts are green jobs and green skills. So green jobs is broadly defined as any decent job, whether in agriculture, industry, services, or administration, that helps preserve or restore the quality of the environment. Looking at green skills, they are the knowledge, ability, competencies individuals acquires to perform activities aiming at ensuring environmental sustainability and supporting the goals of green economy. So looking now at our methodology, so to answer our research question, we follow 4 steps. So in the first one, we try to identify the potential of green jobs in both countries. And this has been done based on a documentary analysis of national documents and also the usage of ONET taxonomy of green jobs. In step 2, we try to analyze, to identify the green skills supply by analyzing the existing public training programs and courses in higher education and vocational training. So the step 3 and 4 allow to identify the identification of the skills gap. So this gap was first studied qualitatively by comparing and matching the demand with the supply. And our objective here is to check if the required training program exists for the identified jobs that we identify in step 1. So this qualitative analysis has been completed with the quantitative one based on an online survey of individuals working in green sectors, and the sample of employee includes recruiters working in green sectors and jobs. So let me now present the main findings of our study. I will begin by the analysis of green job demand. And what we find, our main findings, is that both countries have great potential in terms of green job. We have identified about 11 green sectors, but common strategic ones are energy, manufacturing, and construction in both countries. So if we compare Tunisia with Lebanon, Tunisia presents a higher demand for green jobs in sectors directly linked to the environment, like energy. However, while Lebanon has a higher demand outside these traditional sectors, particularly in manufacturing, construction, and transportation. So an interesting finding also is that the green transition was accompanied by a greater demand for high skills rather than low skills. And in this case, we see that diploma like engineering and master degrees are the most needed for the green jobs in both countries. So looking at the analysis of green skills supply, find that both countries have diverse programs and degrees related to the green field. If we look at the areas of this training, we see that in Lebanon it is in energy, mainly in energy, construction, agriculture, and waste management. In Tunisia, almost half of them belong to the area of agriculture, biotechnology, and the environment. So also in both countries, most of green skills are mainly provided in higher education, and here we noted the small contribution from vocational training, and this is particularly the case of Tunisia. So if you look at where these programs are provided, we see that it is in public institutions in Tunisia, while in Lebanon it is rather on private institutions. So looking now at the skills gap, where we match the green jobs in demand with the green skills supply. So what we find globally, if we look at the matching between the two demand and supply. So globally, both countries have made efforts to provide the green workforce with the necessary qualification by offering them several programs and training related to the green economy. So the most balanced pictures are observed in Lebanon for environmental protection and agriculture sectors, and for workers and operator category of workers and operators. For Tunisia, we find good matching between supply and demand in agriculture and energy sectors, and for managers and engineers categories. So the gap, the skills gap, or is observed. So we find several challenging sectors. It is transportation, manufacturing, and management for Lebanon, and also for the categories of technicians and managers and engineers. So for Tunisia, the gap is observed for the transportation sectors, where for several jobs, the corresponding diploma or degree is missing, and also for the category of jobs of workers and operators. So let me now move to present the results of the online survey. So before presenting the findings, just a brief description of this survey. So this survey was conducted online via LinkedIn during May and June 2024. We target people working in green jobs in Lebanon and Tunisia. And in total, we have a sample of 100 employees from different sectors and jobs in each country, including the owner of the companies, which we consider as a recruiter. So the questionnaire included several questions, and specific ones providing insights about the skills gap from the worker and recruiter's side.
You have 2 minutes, 2 minutes left.
Yes, okay. So the main findings of our survey, we find that looking at the worker side, we find that the majority of workers in green occupation consider that their qualifications are not sufficient to do their job. The higher gaps are mentioned for Lebanon. Most of the workers, also about 70% of them, indicate that they need to complete additional training in order to acquire green skills. And this has been mainly through private institutions. So also in both countries, looking at the side of the recruiters, they indicate that they struggle to find candidates with adequate green skills, and mainly in agriculture in Lebanon and transportation and construction in Tunisia. And this is a big challenge for their activities. Regarding the diploma, the majority of the recruiters consider that the professional training is the most satisfactory diploma in Lebanon. In Tunisia, it is rather engineering diploma, and note here that vocational training is the least satisfactory. So as a conclusion, we can say that both countries have great potential in terms of green jobs and share common goals and challenges in developing them. However, their specific economic structure, environmental challenges, and focus area lead to different focuses on their green job strategy. So our study helps to identify the green areas, sectors, and skills where efforts should be made for each country. So finally, some policy recommendations come with this study. First, vocational training needs to be further developed and adapted to the green transition process. Also, we need to revise the curricula and study plans to be adapted to the green economy. Regarding teaching staff, they need also compulsory in-service training or certification modules to be able to teach green skills. And also we need to strengthen the involvement of the private sector in the green transition. And for this, government should support them via legal and fiscal incentive measures. And thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Shihab. Thank you once again. It's a very interesting presentation. And we had a question about will we organize a send presentation? I think yes, because usually the organizers always sending the information like this recording and this all the presentation. So you will have a chance to look at presentations. And also thank you very much for sending questions in the chat. And I think that we have 10 minutes at the end of all presentations. So we'll to answer these questions later. And the last presentation in our session is by Professor Ahmed Hamza. Please.
Thank you, and good morning, everyone. May I share my presentation? Yes. Okay. Share. And yes, a moment. Our presentation is dealing with addressing the skill gap and mismatches in emerging energy sector transition. This presentation is output of the study done by myself and Liga Baltina. Liga is she expressed her willing to contribute to the presentation, but for today, her birthday, so she is preparing for celebrating. So happy birthday for her. And we are focusing on 3 countries that already the ETF prepared the detailed studies. It's by historical comes in, it started by Tunisia, followed by Albania and Egypt. And they are focusing on the 3 output reports. We analyze the reports as we will, I will explain in the subsequent slides. The objective is to, the main outline of the study is to go through the objective of the countries covered, definition, the key concept used, methodology used in the research, and the main thing, as we all is targeting to be under the umbrella of sustainable energy. In the beginning, I would like to just give, all of us are familiar with the energy, but what we are focusing on is energy sector, including all, including supply, production of renewable and non-renewable energy sources. It also including all the skills needed for transportation, refining, distribution, and including on all kind of resources. It also include the power sector, electricity generation sector. The objective of this research is to deepen the understanding of the matches and the mismatches of the 3 countries. As the 3 studies already done, we go to analyze what are the common needs, what are the specific needs for each countries. We consider one case as a reference in EU renewable energy sector and compared the 3 countries needs or the case of the 3 countries with EU status of renewable energy scales. The research key concept is to explore and the evolving skill need in energy sector in the 3 countries, focusing on emerging technologies and interdisciplinary rules. In addition, to propose ways for these countries to address the challenge while aligning with global energy trend. The research is built mainly on the 3 studies done by ETF, and we do not added any extra information, just we analyze the output of these studies, targeting to identify the future skill requirement based on the carbon neutrality and energy efficiency. And in the first, we find the area of energy development of the 3 countries. We identified the area of interest based on the studies. It was renewable energy, the first 3, hydrogen generation, energy efficiency, thermal efficiency, fossil fuel energy, oil extraction. Some countries are emerging, some countries are developing, some countries already well established in like thermal energy in Egypt is already, the sector is established. So these are the main outline of interest of the 3 countries. And the transforming factor for each country is different from other. Some few commons are exist. As example, the transforming factor in energy sector in Tunisia is focusing on enhancing sustainability and reducing fossil fuel reliance, as it is an energy producer country, attracting renewable energy investment, creating a predictable regulatory framework, strengthen the transmission and distribution facility, deploying technologies to save labor market, while Albania are focusing on exploiting renewable energy potential, improving infrastructure efficiency, enhancing environmental sustainability, in particular in hydropower, aligning with EU to attract more investors, deploying technology innovation to shape the energy labor market. In Egypt, the transforming factor is a little bit different, exploring renewable energy potential alongside with fuel resources, deploying technology innovation to shape the energy labor market, coping with climate change, creating clear regularity framework, meeting growing energy demand as we are, as the country is population growth is higher, urbanization, attracting investment in renewable energy facilities. So these are the transforming factor for each countries. The scale demand across the energy is the three countries. We categorize into technical scale, managerial scale, cross-sectorial scale, educational scale, and each country has target based on its requirement in technical scale, or based on his requirement on managerial scale, or based on his cross-sectorial scales or educational needs. So the table included, and just for information, it's available in the presentation, in the paper, as well as in the ETF reports. If we come to the concerning of what are existing in EU and what are these countries state of art present with them. Nevertheless, these countries to adapt to the from the EU approach, particularly in terms of aligning education, training, system, emerging technology. These countries look for expanding their renewable. Three countries looking for expanding renewable energy sector, targeting more investment in scale development, especially in technical, digital, and managerial capacity. And this will be to ensure the sustainable transition similar to the shift seen in EU. In conclusion, for the common, this is the common one. The three countries have the three common needs or require evolving three needs. The key finding finds that the evolving scale requirement in the three countries, the energy sector transition necessity shift toward high scale was growing emphasis on digital, managerial, specialized scale related to renewable energy. While in educational and the training gap, the three countries were looking for a dedicated higher education and technical education program tolerated with emerging need for energy sector. Limited stakeholders in the three countries, and this comes with collaboration between educational institute, vocational educational training provider, industry stakeholders are limited in the three countries. A specialized workforce shortage. The sector faces a shortage of skilled workers across different specialization, including renewable energy technology, energy efficiency, digital management gap, and highlight need of target training program to develop workforce capable of meeting sector demand. These are common needs of the three countries. While if we come to the specific need of each countries, we find from the studies they are classified into area of focus, specific recommendation, rational needs. As example, if we come to Tunisia, they are focused on the renewable energy training, international cooperation, educational system involvement, while Albania looking for emerging technology, public-private partnership, scale development. In Egypt, it comes through renewable energy scale, digital scale, and technology, professional and development. And each area of focus has a specific recommendation the three studies come with specific recommendation for each countries. However, we can come to the recommendation of this study. This study address the gap in energy sector in the three countries. There are a potential development and cooperative project and incentives building on the defined shared challenges and opportunities. If we come to this one, we can start by the three countries need to have a joint policy advisory and cross-border internship and exchange program. This can become through an EU program that merge together, enable student and professional gain more experience from the sector. Number two, standard development from the regional coalition of advocate for the policy change and develop common standard for energy sector scale and the training. The key partner will include the governor bodies, educational institution, industrial representative from the three countries. Number three, as my previous two colleagues presented, the digital learning platform. We recommend to have develop a digital platform dealing with the skills needed, such as to provide webinar, energy technology, scale resources. The platform will contain more professional in energy sector, e-learning provider, university, industry, expertise, governmental education, and so on, and etc. The last one of the recommendation is the regional energy efficiency project. And the three countries emerging need to have more skilled more gained skilled for the profession develop collaborative project to improve the energy efficiency in building, in industry, and urbanization. This project should include training of the professional because, as example, for my knowledge in Egypt, we have no certified energy auditing auditors that he already, if he certified such an institution is the energy efficiency is good. This is until now this is not exist because we need to have infrastructure to find this. It looks like all countries has a financial auditor. We also to have energy auditor in the three countries to demonstrate and implement the energy efficiency measure while building local expertise and capacity. Potential partner for this project could include municipalities, energy companies, technology provider, and international development organization. And this is the summary in conclusion. Still there are common needs in cooperation with European Union and neighborhood region. And that's all. And thank you.
So thank you very much. Thank you very much, Professor Ahmed Hamza. We're already out of time for presentations. Now we have just a couple of minutes for questions and answers. And thank you very much. Our participants are very active and already sent several questions, and even Branko already responded operatively to her questions on the chat. You can see in the chat, but we also have two questions addressed to Rehab. So one question from Zibo Isakova, and she mentioned that as Uzbekistan has declared to 2025 the year of environmental protection and green economy, and given my work at the intersection of IT and green economy, I'm interested in your experience. Based on the findings from Lebanon and Tunisia, what were the most effective methods you used to align training programs with actual green job demand? And how did you ensure this? So just Rehab, please, just like 1 minute maximum as a response.
Okay, thank you very much, and thank you for the question. So I also read their work, and I find it very interesting also. Regarding the question, so what we do is a qualitative analysis. So we have the directory of the training and programs offered in Tunisia, and with each program we have a brief description of the modules and the courses offered in this training in this program. So we try to compare. We have the job, and with for each each job, we have the tasks or the skills needed for the job, which we identify in step 1. And looking at the skills, we try to match them with the training or the program given the description of this program. So this is mainly a qualitative analysis, and of course there are other programs that can be adapted or revisited to be more agile, to adapt emerging technologies. But what we use is the actual description of the programs and training offered in Tunisia and Lebanon.
Okay.
And I repeat again, it is a qualitative analysis, just comparing skills, the skills with the job, offered with the job, and the skills offered in the training program and educational.
Okay, we have a second question from Akram Yazıcı. Dear Rehab, thank you for presentations. Based on your findings, do you think the skill gaps identified in the energy, manufacturing, and construction sectors are similar to those in the agriculture sector?
If I understand well the question, here I think that he's speaking about we cannot compare agriculture sector with manufacturing and energy sector. I agree with his opinion, but the jobs that we identified in step 1 are all jobs with diploma. So we don't speak about the informal works in the agriculture sector who people can do without having a diploma. So here we are speaking of jobs, about jobs that need diploma to be executed. So here we can also, in this case, we can of course compare skill gaps in energy and all the sectors with the agriculture sector. And thank you for your question.
Yeah, indeed. Thank you very much for all questions. Thank you very much for presentation. So I now giving floor to Burulcha Suleymanova. Please, Burulcha.
Thank you very much. Dear colleagues, distinguished speakers, and participants. It's my great pleasure to moderate the second session of today's webinar. We will have 3 presentations, each lasting around 10 minutes, followed by a brief Q&A session. I encourage all participants to note your questions in the chat box. Now let me introduce our first speaker, Ivana Pritsa, who will present the research on the transition to work and graduate qualification and skill mismatch, the case studies of Morocco and Serbia. Ivana, we look forward to your presentation.
Hello, everybody. I'm getting ready to share my screen. I don't know if everybody is able to see this. Yeah? Okay. So this is as you said, this is the title of our project we've done. These are my team members. The project, as you can see, has been done in both Serbia and in Morocco, where my colleague Imane Eloizane was doing the research very successfully. And my team members are here present to hear this presentation. I have been chosen to present it only, but we have all done the work. So what was our work? We were trying to provide a comparative analysis of higher education system and graduate labor markets and the business sectors and their interactions in North Africa and Western Balkans, whereby North Africa, we have used the case study of Morocco, and for the Western Balkans, obviously the case study of Serbia. These are the regions on the EU periphery, and we wanted to see what were similarities or differences between the two. We have collected the primary data, each in our own country, and this presentation, however, focuses mainly on the qualification and skill mismatch experience of the graduates, and as we have only 10 minutes for the presentation. First, let me look at the qualification mismatch results that came out of our project. As you can see here in this table, we can see that only half of the university graduates in Morocco and 2/3 in Serbia currently are employed in a job which is in line with their qualification level. If we look at the overqualified, we can see the percentages here of 38 and 32% respectively for Morocco and Serbia, which according to our research is fairly high compared to the international reference points that are listed for you here in this slide. When we look in the qualification matching by a higher education level and gender, and we compare public and private sector here in this slide, for the reasons that will be immediately obvious, there is a huge difference between public and private sectors in these two countries. If we look in Morocco, higher education level and the level of education of the participant, of the graduate, the best match in public sector in Morocco are PhD students, while at the private sector, the best match are master students. In Serbia, it's different because the best matched in Serbia in both public and private sector are bachelor degrees graduates. So they are best matched in the sense that their qualifications are best matched to the job they are currently doing. If we look at gender differences, we can see that in Morocco, better matched are females or the women are better matched in the graduate jobs to their qualification level in public sector, while in the private sector, similar is the situation with males. However, in Serbia, we have a different picture whereby there is a high qualification matching for males, much higher than females in both public and private sector. This is just introduction to this issue because we have looked at it further in the sense that we looked how the wage penalty for these phenomena we just observed. And if we look, first of all, what are the wage levels in public and private sector, we can see that in public sector, wages are the same and virtually the same in Moroccan and Serbian samples. However, in private sector, there is a huge difference, whereby in Serbia, the wages are 2.2 times higher in private sector compared to those in Morocco. When we look further at the gender wage bias, we can see that there is generally not much. There is a bias, and women do get paid like about 100 euros less than males, except in Serbian private sector, where this gap is almost 600 euros. So there is a huge gender bias in Serbian private sector regarding the wage. Now, we will look at the wage penalty for being overqualified, or rather for qualification mismatch. And we can see that in both countries, wage penalty is higher in private sector. In Morocco, we have a wage penalty of 200 in public sector as a difference between matched qualification and overqualified, and even like 400 in private sector. In Serbia, there is almost no difference between overqualified and matched wages in a public sector. However, in private sector, this difference is huge and is actually 650 euros. Now, when we include gender disparity into this picture, we come to a very interesting story whereby we can see that in both countries, in the higher paid sector, which is the public sector in Morocco and private sector in Serbia, we can see that men suffer no significant wage penalty, while women basically bear the brunt of all of it. So this overall pictures of a wage penalty due to misqualification is actually fully borne by women in the sector, which is in the more competitive sector where the wages are more competitive. Now I will tell you something, our findings about skill mismatch. First of all, how we measured skill mismatch. We used the subjective method. We asked the participants to estimate or to self-evaluate their skills, 15 different skills at the bachelor's graduate level, at master's graduate level, obviously for those who did have a master's degree, and their current level where they are today. And we also asked them to self-evaluate the job proficiency required for those skills at their current job. So by subtracting one from the other, we sort of we lost this self-evaluation bias because we use this to measure individual skill mismatch.
Sorry, Ivana, for interrupting. 2 minutes left.
Oh, okay. So we calculate individual skill mismatch indicator, which, as we can show here, shows that at bachelor's, master's degree, we have underskilled compared to the current job, but at current skill level, we have a clear mode in match, meaning the majority are matched in their skill, 50% are matched in their skill level, and the results are equal for Serbia and Morocco. The differences come at the overskill level because the intensity of skill mismatch is higher in Serbia. I will skip this slide because the time is short, and I will come to the summary findings. So we find broadly similar skill and qualification matching results in graduate labor market of the two fully different EU super-periphery region, while graduate overqualification rates are similar and graduate overskill rates are relatively high in both countries, 29%. Differences are that there is a higher share of match qualifications in Serbia, large qualification mismatch wage penalty for women, but not for men, in highest paying sector in each country, and a pronounced gender bias in current skill mismatch in Serbia. Findings indicate urgent need for higher education reform to align to labor market, to promote lifelong learning and job switching, as well as for this first part, it is similar on the lines that Umuhan said in her introductory speech, but also we would like to underline a necessity for initiative to rectify the gender bias, which seems to be fully on female part of population, and hence perhaps that should be where the future recommendation for the additional initiative and resources should be placed in order to deal with that issue. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ivana, for your comprehensive and engaging insights into the skills mismatch in Morocco and Serbia. Our next speaker is Dan Stroud, who will present the research paper on identifying sectoral skills needs, lessons from Poland and Wales for the Turkish steel industry. Dan, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I trust you can hear me. And let me just get this onto the slideshow. So is that visible to everybody?
Yes.
And you can hear me. Thank you. To start, yes, so I'm Dean Stroud from Cardiff University. I'm a professor at Cardiff University. Today I'm going to be presenting the results of the project Identifying Sectoral Skill Needs, Lessons from Poland and Wales for the Turkish Steel Industry. This is the work of researchers from, and you have to excuse me if I mangle this, Jagiellonian University in Poland and Bogazici University in Turkey, as well as myself from Cardiff. So the project is informed by the results of the European Steel Skills Agenda, or ESSA project, which covered Wales, and the Polish Sectoral Human Capital Study. So to begin, let me outline the key objectives of the project for you first. Overall, we aim to develop an approach for analysing skill demands in selected market sectors. And from this analysis, we identify opportunities for skill demands analysis in another country, in this case Turkey, and for its steel sector. The work involved conducting an overview of approaches to estimating skill demand used in Poland from the sectoral human capital study, and in Wales working from the ESSA project, which focused on Wales along with Germany, Spain, Italy and Poland as its case study countries. In Poland, with the human capital study, the focus was national, drawing on 17 sectors in total, whilst the ESSA project was focused on a single sector, steel, across the 5 case study countries I've just mentioned. The aim is to offer a comprehensive analysis to understand the strengths and limitations of the approaches in Poland and Wales for implementation and application to Turkey's steel sector. Key concepts informing our study concern the levels of skills shortages and difficulty recruiting skills from the labour market and skills gaps, where the skills of those in the workforce do not meet the requirements of the firm or sector. We further focused on what might be termed hot skills or emerging needs, and those skills that are becoming increasingly important to sector firms, for example, digital skills and green skills. So that twin transition has been mentioned a few times. In view of this, we further considered skills balance and the extent to which skills are in demand compared to their availability according to employers, but also questions on the changing importance of skills, difficulty of acquiring them, and employee perspectives on what is important, which begins to open up questions of skills mismatch. Finally, the ESSA project focused on developing a sector blueprint for tackling skill needs up until 2028. And this comprises the various elements listed on the slide, including things like expert panels, forecasting surveys, steer path, and so on. I can say more about those in questions if you'd like. We also focused on a skills matrix, which was an attempt to understand the gap between current vocational education and training provision and the transversal skill needs identified by the ESSA project for specific occupations common to the steel industry. So this focus attempts to bring together and more closely align the vocational education and training systems with sector skill needs. The project in Poland and the ESSA project used a range of methods to generate and collect data on skill demands using both quantitative and qualitative approaches. To give a brief overview, in Poland, secondary data analysis was conducted of business processes within sectors and how these relate to jobs. Interviews were also conducted with industry experts, and surveys were carried out with employers and employees for each of the 17 sectors. For ESSA, secondary data analysis was conducted to identify technological change. A survey was conducted on this as well. Secondary data analysis was also used to identify skill needs. Interviews were conducted with employers, employees, and industry experts to further identify needs and what is delivered by vocational training systems. And surveys are ongoing to continually update on skill needs, and we meet through the European Skill Technology Platform to consider those results as an expert panel. Overall, the aim is to identify and map what businesses and sectors do, their processes, the jobs and occupations involved, and the related skills and qualification profiles, with a view to focusing on the skills gaps, skills shortages, the hot skills, and the balance of skills. In terms of the results, we focus here on the key questions asked and what approaches have been adopted in Poland, in Wales, across ESSA more generally, and what lessons there might be for Turkey and its steel sector. So you can see that we identified 5 clear questions to be addressed, including clear strategic goals, scope and structure of assessment, universality of the solution, a competency definition methodology, and institutional and systemic context. So different lessons are learned from the different projects for Turkey. For example, on clear strategic goals, a hybrid approach might be adopted that draws on an industry-driven strategy for addressing skill needs, such as ESSA recommends, but also the development of policy and planning institutions, as in Poland, such as, for example, sectoral skills councils or tripartite bodies might be adopted. Elsewhere, and this is also, as I'll say a bit more about, in terms of challenges, we might focus on institutional and systemic context and the importance of institutional analysis and mapping how vocational education and training systems, higher education, labour market institutions and sectoral organisations interact with skill needs. So the broader point here across this table is that it captures the way that lessons are learned in Poland and Wales and the way in which they may inform addressing skill demands in the Turkey's steel sector. But of course, there are always, whilst there are opportunities, there are also challenges. So the opportunities would include enhanced competitiveness that come from the lessons learned and implementing the methodologies that have been identified, which can significantly improve or may significantly improve competitiveness of the Turkish steel sector by addressing skills gaps, aligning training programs with industry needs, and allowing Turkey to better position itself in the global market on steel. We can talk about an opportunity for sustainable development and the emphasis particularly on green technologies and digitalization, again, that twin transition with the global trends towards sustainability. And this focus could help the steel sector reduce its carbon footprint, adopt more efficient production processes. And this all leads to an opportunity for economic growth and developing a skilled workforce capable of meeting future demands. And as the sector grows, create more job opportunities and contribute to overall economic stability. But as I mentioned, there are challenges that the Turkish steel industry would face in adopting some of the approaches that we identified from the studies in Poland and the ESSA project, which covered Wales. So the implementation costs, adapting and implementing the comprehensive methodologies will require significant investment, and that money has to be found for the surveys and the training programs and the skills alliances that might be adopted. It would require strong stakeholder coordination and ensuring effective collaboration amongst various stakeholders. So the infrastructure, the institutions, the frameworks.
For interrupting them, only 1 minute left.
Okay, just coming to the end. One of the key ones is the cultural and institutional differences, which also has implications for the stakeholder coordination. Some places have these frameworks already in place, particularly for tripartite approaches. Other countries do not. So Wales, for example, does not have those frameworks for tripartite coordination in place in any real way, whereas Poland does. But Turkey would have to look to adopt a similar kind of model. And whether there's political and regulatory support in place. So that needs to be in place for any kind of successful implementation of the initiatives. And I think I can leave it there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Dan, for the comprehensive presentation and perfect timing. We now move to our final speaker, Arta Istrefi, who will present research on digital social entrepreneurship for young people in Albania, Kosovo, and North Macedonia. Arta, we welcome your presentation.
Yes, thank you very much. It's not always great to be the last speaker because I believe that people are already in low energy, maybe. So I'll try to be a bit brief and try to really capture the findings of this research that we have done together with Gina Whiteman, who could not join today. I'm not sure if someone is about to share the presentation now, or shall I do it?
Yes, just 1 second, I will.
Okay. Meanwhile, I'll start to explain what this research was about. So the goal of the research was to map the digital social entrepreneurship landscape in 3 Western Balkan countries, Albania, Kosovo, and North Macedonia, which we focused in 3 main questions. we try to find out what are the essential skills young digital social entrepreneurs need, what support and training currently exists for them, and how might the ecosystem actors assist in filling in the skills development gaps. Yes, now I can also see that you shared the screen, and I'll try to maintain both sides. So the ultimate goal was to identify the policy, education, and intervention that help young people thrive in this digital social entrepreneurs in these rapidly evolving high unemployment context. The objective was to firstly define what the digital social entrepreneurship is, which is for us digital technologies with social impact objectives. In our region, we are known to be digitally savvy. So what we aim to do is to see whether there is also this component of social entrepreneurship and how they're using this digital for the purpose environment and really solving social problems in the region. So like how we use the tech platforms, AI, to solve real world challenges like inequality, climate change, or access to education. The digital social entrepreneurship is really the intersection of the digital entrepreneurship and social entrepreneurship, which is more like mission-driven ventures. We then define this, what is the skill gap in this research, which refers to the mismatch between the skills young people possess, particularly in the digital and entrepreneurial domains, and those required to succeed in the job market or maybe run a sustainable venture. Also, the ecosystem for the purpose of the research is defined as the environment that supports entrepreneurship, including policy, education, funding, and culture. Next, I would like to explain a little bit the methodology that we use, which we based on this secondary qualitative research. We did comprehensive literature and policy review. We mapped the digital social entrepreneurship initiatives in each of the 3 countries. We then framed using Eisenberg entrepreneurial ecosystem model. And again, the focus area that we worked on was mainly on the policy environment in the 3 countries, human capital, the skills and education, whether there is a mismatch there or not, and then support mechanism, which are incubators, accelerators, NGOs, or other partner organization that would support, that would be a support mechanism for the young digital social entrepreneurs. I would like to move to the main findings, which I will divide firstly the general outcome on the 3 countries and then move into the individual countries. So in all 3 countries, there is a growing youth interest in digital social entrepreneurship. The ecosystems in all 3 countries are underdeveloped but evolving. The nonprofit organization and incubators are primarily supporting channels. Some countries are moving into acceleration. Some are only focusing in the very early stage of companies to support. There is very limited university level digital social entrepreneurship support. And there is an outdated curricula and digital skills gap in majority of the universities that we've seen in the 3 countries. Some positive findings were that youth are motivated by purpose, not just profit. This is almost contradictory to lots of other research, which are not finding very not many youth that are motivated by purpose. And particularly for digital social entrepreneurship, this is extremely important because profit is not the only thing to do a business, but rather to have a purpose and to have an impact. The challenge that we found by working in this project was the lack of existing skills framework, which was one of the key outcomes of this study that we have developed. The framework that we have developed has several categories. One was the cognitive and analytical thinking. The other was strategic and opportunity recognition, leadership and resilience, collaboration and communication, digital literacy. We then found some country-based outcomes from this search that are differentiating from one another. So starting with Albania, which has the education system that is outdated and has this mismatch with industry needs. There is limited entrepreneurship education and lack of practical trainings. Barriers that include our lack of internship. It's like a pretty big division between the rural and urban areas when it comes to digital literacy. Majority of projects are based in Tirana, which is the capital of Albania, which makes sometimes inaccessible for other professional development coming from other cities. So especially this is very important for this disadvantaged rural youth that are not having the access to attend in-person trainings that are concentrated in Tirana. There are some cultural and social barriers, the cultural stigma around entrepreneurship and failure due to socialist. So it's still not very common to accept the failure as part of the process to start a business and to fail. Traditional employment is seen still as a more stable and perhaps prestigious job rather than running a business. Brain drain is significant in Albania. Many successful entrepreneurs emigrate outside Albania. Another point we...
Sorry, Arka.
Yes?
Sorry for interrupting. Minutes left only.
2 minutes left. Okay. Then we looked at the institutional and policy challenges. I'll move a little faster, and then support and the incubators exist but struggle with sustainability. It's very much based on donor support in Albania. And then in terms of the policy challenges, it looks that is a bit unstable due to corruption and bureaucracy. That is a huge difference maybe when it comes to competing with other European countries. In Kosovo, the public education is overly theoretical, and there is very weak focus on digital and entrepreneurial skills. Better entrepreneurship education is found in private institutions, but still limited due to the costs. There is a support ecosystem, again, mainly from NGOs, similar to Albania, but really fragmented and ad hoc based on the donor support. Policies in Kosovo recognize digital social entrepreneurship, but implementation still lacks. Funding and market access is a big problem. There is no venture capital and alternative financing in Kosovo. Youth usually are directed to the banks to ask for a loan, but very limited to having any access. And finally, North Macedonia in curricula do not prioritize critical skills like coding, digital marketing, or entrepreneurship. There is limited awareness for the DSE and its career potential among youth. The government strategies support the digital social entrepreneurship, but programs, again, are fragmented and poorly coordinated, similar to the case of Kosovo. There is a lot more support and innovation when it comes to having more incubation and acceleration program supporting green and social ventures. North Macedonia is doing way better here than Albania and Kosovo. Then brain drain is another issue that is affecting the ecosystem generally in North Macedonia. Some policy recommendation for the end is that there should be digital social entrepreneurship focus on grants and startup initiatives to simplify the regulation and start to implement more for young entrepreneurs. For higher education institution, digital social entrepreneurship should be embedded into curricula. and it is highly recommended to create partnership with industries for internship and mentoring for students. Finally, for support organization, it is very important to offer trainings on digital and social innovation and facilitate access to funding and network. Not sure if this was 2 minutes, but I tried to be quite quick. Thank you so much. I'm very open for discussion or questions that you might have for this research. And thank you for the opportunity to present.
Thank you very much, Arda. Thanks for excellent presentation and perfect timing as well. So we will now proceed to the Q&A session, and I would like to open this session with a question from the chat box. At the moment, we have 2 questions, and both of them to Ivana, and Ivana already have answered to this question. So thank you very much, Ivana. If there is any question, please raise your hand and unmute yourself. No questions. Maybe then I should just read the question to Ivana and read Ivana's reply to this question.
Sorry, I did not quite get that. You would like me to answer to these questions?
No,
Yes.
I will just read your answer then.
Okay. Thank you.
Just let me find the first one.
Okay. Well, I had a question about do I see the difference in wages can be explained by productivity levels, because there's a difference in wage between Serbia and Morocco in the sense that there's public and private disparity. In positive side, in the sense the private wages are higher in Morocco, and the private sector are higher, wages are higher in Serbia. And it is how much it is linked to productivity. It's linked also, as another commenter said, it's also linked to the age of the respondents. So yeah, at the current time, that is also has been the case in Serbia before. The wages in the public sector were higher than wages in the private sector, but no longer is the case. The difference is not only the ages of the respondents, but also the labor market, because there is a lack of huge lack of graduate labor force in Serbia. And also in Morocco, but in Serbia we have also developed a big industry on in coding and IT sector is very high, and that is one of the priorities of the government. So which really drives up wages, which are average wage of a startup is much higher. It's like 2,000 euros. So that's the explanation for that. As for the second,
and I may read the second then.
Yeah, the second question was about.
Second question from Ekrem Yazıcı, and question is, how do you think? Do you think technology like AI or specific decision-making softwares can solve the skills mismatch problem or support the solutions in higher education and the labor market? What are your thoughts on the potential and limitations of using management information systems or other technological solutions to address this issue?
Yes, and I find that that actually the issues relating to upskilling, to sort of getting the better skills for the graduates is actually could be really could be helped by any AR or decisions of support systems or any other online or offline intervention from AR or AI-like systems. So yeah, that would be very, very beneficial, and I can see how that could easily be the future for in that direction. However, regarding the wage differentiations among genders, I think, and especially in relation to the underskill and overskill, is it will be much more difficult to be resolved using such intervention. And I think that the policy-based interventions would be more suited.
Thank you very much, Ivana. So thank you very much to all our speakers for such rich and engaging presentations. And now let me give the floor to Christiana.
Thank you very much, Burulca. Thank you to all speakers and presenters. I wish to thank everybody for the contribution to this event. I think it has been very intense, but so inspirational, with the opportunity to be exposed, despite the time limitations, to the results of 6 research projects. So we had the possibility to grasp the key findings. A big thanks to the authors and presenters for brilliant presentations, for the moderators to help keeping the time, which was quite challenging today, given the number of presentations planned. Everybody in the audience for the active engagement and lively discussion. As I mentioned already before, the research papers will be published in the next few days on the ETF website. We are still working on few, let's say, aesthetic details in order to proceed with the release. In the meanwhile, you can find basic information on each research project in the catalog. I posted the link in the chat, but in the coming days, the publication will be ready and you will be the first to receive it as participating in this webinar. And so I want to take this opportunity to give a special thanks also to the team at Fondazione Brodolini for the support throughout the process of these research papers and the peer review and the publications. Regarding today's webinar, all the materials from today's event, the presentations, a summary will be produced, and also recordings will be uploaded in the ETF open space over the next few days. You will receive an email from the network informing when everything is ready, uploaded there. In the meanwhile, I would like to give a brief anticipation about the next activities we are planning within the network. Let's talk about April. We will have a regional webinar organized by the team from the Southern and Eastern Mediterranean region. We will have hopefully ready the call for expression of interest open to participate in the first peer visit in presence, which will be held hopefully around June. We will prepare the second thematic webinar during May. The focus will be skills for the green transition. We have opened a poll over the LinkedIn group to hear from the members of a network what angle the discussion should focus on, and more details will follow soon. And last but not least, we are going to launch in the coming days the sub-thematic community on the skills dimension of migration that I was mentioning in the beginning. Thank you again from my side for being with us today. Keep in contact. Once more, let me encourage you to use the LinkedIn group of a network to share your ideas and impressions on the activities of a network, including on today's webinar. It would be nice to hear from you and continue the discussion over there. Of course, we will post the publication also in the LinkedIn group, so this will give a further opportunity of visibility on the papers and so on. From my side, that is all. I don't know if my colleague Umuan would like to add some additional words for closure. No, if Umuan, it's okay. Then let me just thank you again. Wish you all a great rest of the day and week, and see you soon. Thank you, everyone. Such a pleasure to resume the activities online of a network, and look forward to the next ones. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. you, Christiana. Thank you.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.